Okay, this is week 11 for career and self-discovery. We are coming to a point where we're bringing everything together. They're reading the final chapter of the book coming into this lesson and being introduced or reminded of the three core principles: passion, purpose, and place. We've had several chapters that address these. The spiritual gifts chapter was really geared on this passion idea. Other chapters were more purpose related, finding meaning in your work, and others are more place related, caring for your family and finding employment that matches your needs. So, passion, purpose, place has been interwoven throughout, and today is really a spotlight shined on that idea. And this, in my work as a career counselor over the years, this has been one of the most helpful, most useful ways to help someone through figuring out what they want to do. If you identify passion, purpose, and place, direction, confidence, excitement, motivation, it all comes out of these three areas and how they blend together. What we'll be learning about is the idea of creating a calling map. So we introduced the idea of calling early in the semester. This is going to touch back on that. The place where passion, purpose, and place overlap is the area where calling is found. So the idea of the gifts you have to serve someone in a place that you find to do it, that's the definition of calling in general. So passion, purpose, place. This idea of start where you are is also a part of today. It's an opportunity to start getting them thinking, where do I go after this? We make no guarantees that someone is going to walk out of this class totally finished. They've got their plan, they've got their solid idea. So this class gives them an opportunity to think, what am I going to do next? What are the next steps for me? What further self-discovery do I need? What further career research can I do to help me make those decisions? So, though they're reading the last chapter and the appendix coming into this day, next week they still will read chapter 8. So it kind of goes back and hits that final topic in the book. But because of this reading leads into the topic so well, we kept it here. So there's several key differences to today as well. So as they come into the class, they've been doing kind of the activities at the end of the chapter. This one doesn't have that. So there's an argument made in chapter 10 about the work we do doesn't matter, or that the work we do really does matter. And so they're asked to share their thoughts on both sides of that argument from reading the book and using examples from their own lives. So the discussion board coming into this day can really get some meaningful discussion that you may want to bring into the lesson. So you can look at those a little differently than weeks previous. Looking over here, let's go jump to the modules, review a few of the resources as well. So in the Navigator, they've got that week 11 discussion, which is that, does our work really matter or does it not matter? It's a great discussion. The passion, purpose, place, questions, and columns is a worksheet. If students don't bring this and you don't provide it, it can be pretty difficult to do that. So you may want to bring a few extra copies of this two-sided handout to class, or remind them ahead of time to bring it, because it will be an important piece that they'll walk out of class with. The journal after this class really acts as the final of the course, and that description is here in the Navigator. So it's meant to be a summary of bringing together all of the work they've been doing throughout the semester. The appendix of Zookeeper's Secret, the way this assignment is structured follows that very exactly. And it is a 20-point assignment. So there's as you look at the journal, which we'll spend a little time looking through, It is 20 points, and the rubric here will give you what to look for and what that 20-point description is. So take a little minute to look through that rubric as these start to come in and you're grading them. In class, what they'll be doing after we talk through and introduce the passion, purpose, place, which I'll show you those slides, they will be completing this appendix activity, the calling map. There's 6 steps, and there's a attached PDF of the appendix if they don't have the book for whatever reason it might be. But it's right there in the end of the book. If they had a digital version or something different, this is just provided there. And they can do this by handwritten, or they can create a Word document with some of the graphics. There's an example of both in the materials. So either way can be really meaningful, however their creativity works. So there's 3 pages that will be a part of this final. The 3rd page isn't necessarily a full page. It's just a separate page so that we can see that there's 3 parts that are being submitted. And the 3 parts are sizing your circles, filling the contents from the interview that they're going to do. They're going to have 3 small interviews, one about passion, one about purpose, one about place. The questions are provided on the worksheet, and they're going to summarize the information from their interviews and add to it in the 3 columns. Then they're going to also identify themes on that first page. On page 2 will be the actual map where those circles are put together and it's shown how those overlap. And they're going to explain how that fits. Charting the terrain is what it's called, and that's describing like my passion and purpose overlap, and this is why, and here's how that works for me. This is a pretty abstract idea, but students can do it. It does require them to think a little deeper and to be creative in how they approach it. So there is a pretty exact way how to do this, but if you see a student who approaches it in a very different and creative way, I like that. I think that's an important thing, that we give students the space to be creative in their own way. So a lot of pieces. They come in having read about passion, purpose, place. They're going to spend quite a bit of time in class interviewing on that, which prepares them to dive into this assignment. The 3rd page is just a paragraph or a bullet pointed list of these are goals or next steps or commitments that I'm making as I move forward. So that's how this assignment after will go. This journal is usually due later as well, gives them a little more time to work on it than other journals. So feel free to adjust that date if you want to provide more time than what's given. But this is the final for the course. So this combined with the informational interview report, which will come next week, those 2 are heavier points, and they're kind of a combined final. So there is that detail. Let me go through some of the slides and just explain a little more about this. So first, let me jump here to the outline where you'll see the supporting doctrine. You'll get some great descriptions here. If you understand what's written here, you'll see there's 3 paragraphs about passion, purpose, and place. And so passion represents this hard wiring, an intense desire to pursue a particular activity or interest, a spiritual gift. These all fit into that idea of passion and this hard wiring of like, this is who I am. This is the core of me. The purpose is something outside of you. It's a cause that says, we need your help. We need your gifts over here to help with this thing. So the purpose is that cause or that calling that says, come and offer your gifts here. And then the place is the sense of place is a feeling you're where you're supposed to be. And this can mean like, I feel like I have to be close to family. Like family, the value of family can mean whatever it is I'm going to do it here so I can be close to family. It could be there's this particular company that I just feel drawn toward. Like wherever this company is, that's where I'm going to go. So it can express in different ways, but it can be very powerful. For me, living in East Idaho is such a great experience that this is where I want to stay. And you'll hear people talk about that. Like, I love being in Rexburg. This is where I want to make my career and my life. So that sense of place can be a pretty powerful indicator as well. So passion, purpose, and place together. These paragraphs here are a great way to summarize that and bring that into the lesson as well. There's a slide here that gives you the connection to doctrine. So passion has that doctrine of spiritual gifts. Purpose has the doctrine of stewardship. Like, this is where I'm needed. This is where my stewardship lies. And then place is I felt guided to be here. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be, and organization or location I feel drawn to. So this is a great summary slide. In order to help students understand what we mean by how your circles overlap, there's some slides provided for this as well. Another way of talking about it: purpose, place, and passion. When those start to overlap, the sense of calling grows the more those come together. There are ways to miss your calling. Like, if you feel a disconnect, there's a few different scenarios. If your purpose is disconnected from your place and passion, so you like the place, the passion is there, you're using your talents and gifts, but the purpose is not aligned, you'll feel that disconnect. If your purpose and place are there, but your passion, you just feel like you're not able to give your best gifts to it, you might feel this kind of disconnect. And if a student submits one of their maps and they show this disconnect, they can explain that and describe that, and how they might remedy it. What could they do different to bring that into more alignment? If your purpose and your passion are there, like the cause is great, the gifts are there, but the place, something about the place, maybe it's too far from family. People bring that up a lot. Maybe it's the company values don't align, whatever it may be. Then there's going to be this kind of disconnect. And there's a final way of a disconnect of all three. Like, I have passion, I have purpose, I have place, they're just not lining up. I haven't yet found where I can find those three blended together. So going through these several slides of the circles, it's meant to be just kind of a miniature lecture segment. Not a lot of discussion, but describing and giving that information so they can visualize and see, okay, I have to decide how my circles are going to be sized and overlapped for the assignment. Goal with all of this day is prepping them for that assignment. The interview is the main portion of time for the day. There's 3 columns of questions, and it's 5 to 7 minute interviews, 2 directions. So a good portion of the time for this class is setting up the rounds of interviews. One will interview the other, and they'll switch roles and interview the other. The person who's asking the questions is also going to take notes in the 3 columns. And then the students' notes that are theirs should go home with them. So there's some trading back and forth and making sure all of that works. The questions can also be displayed up on the screen with these 3 slides. The passion questions, purpose, and place questions are all there. Then there's some materials that are also provided with how the 3 pages of the journal work for that calling map activity that we looked at earlier. Then there's some of the examples are given here too. So here's a hand-drawn one, the sized circles, the content, the map with descriptions, and this one included the next steps for the travel plan on this page, but we're asking students to make that a 3rd page. Here's another a digital example. So they sized their circles, put the content, highlighted them based on themes that they identified here. This was just a creative way that a student decided to depict this, which we thought was a really great example. So those are there to refer to. When the students are in the assignment, there's a reference to those examples here, so they can look at those and and see those as well as they're doing the assignment.